The project which we just done at college was all based around animation, 3D and sculpture. While we were doing the project, we'd actually tried a lot of different techniques, like we tried doing wire models, masks, plaster, lots of different things really, not just one thing. We're trying to try different techniques out. I think that my favourite thing out of all of the different techniques was probably doing my mask. I mean, when I first started it, I picked a different idea, which was to do like a snow leopard, and I found it very difficult to do that, but I was also not in that week, which meant that basically I didn't have the help that I needed, so I didn't really understand what I was fully doing when I got back, and we'd actually moved on by then, so it kind of came down to me to do it at the end. So as we were doing the Batman project by this point, I'd kind of changed my idea, and I picked a character who was Poison Ivy, and I used the cardboard to make a head structure by making sure it fit me and everything. And then when it was stuck together, I decided to make like a face mask to make it look like the character's face mask that she would wear when she was in disguise. And then I decorated that, so I did it like painted it like the greens, like the character. And then I used like pens and inks to do like a swirl pattern and the makeup and everything like that. Once that was done, I attached it to the headpiece to make it so that it would look like your face but with her mask on, if that makes sense. And then I attached it all and then tried it on to make sure it fit, which it still did. And then to actually hide the back, I wanted to have like the character's hair, so when you wore it, it'd be like a cosplay kind of thing, so you would look like the character. So I actually had to go and get a wig, and I couldn't actually find one, so I had to get a wig that was for Shrek, and then untie it because it was on like a plait like Princess Fiona. And then I had to put that on the model and then kind of make it fit and stick. And then once that was done, I kind of had the finished product. So then I took a load of pictures and I put it onto my blog and I talked about it, and I kind of talked about the process of it, which was quite a few days. It took about 3-4 days in total, but I felt the result looked really good and better than what I actually imagined, because I'm not really good at 3D. It's not something I usually would go into, so considering I did it all on my own, I was quite proud of the final result. The worst thing that I'd probably done in the project was probably my plaster plaque, and I felt that the technique was very easy because it was literally just getting a lump of clay and placing it inside, levelling it out, and then, making a design. But I felt that when the clay had been poured onto my model, it had kind of leaked through, which then meant the design didn't go as I wanted it to. And then when it came to tidying it up, that's the part I found hard, because I couldn't get it to go level and equal like I wanted. Though you could still tell what it was, you could tell it was the Batman sign, but it just wasn't as neat in as I would like it to be. When it came to painting it, it wasn't too bad, but because the insides were a bit like lumpy from where it had gone through, it was hard to get it as neat and as I was saying, so I wasn't too happy with the final result of that. But I guess if I was going to do it again, I would just pick an easier design that didn't have as many curves and something that would be easier to do. The research that I did in the project, that involved, I actually went to a UConn Open Day towards the end of the project, and they had a lot of degree shows on at that point, and although I was looking more at like photography and fashion related things, they actually had a 3D degree show on. So I had a quick look around it, and there were some models which were like tall, I don't know how to explain, they were like kind of tall models, but they were like in different colours, and it looked like they were like metal, but at the same time they looked like it was kind of like a plastic material. It's quite interesting. But I felt like it looked very elegant, and it looked like it was so simple, but it worked really well. And I was quite inspired by them because I felt it looked so much nicer than your general 3D, which I kind of imagine more like metal models and things like that. So I also looked into some artists. I looked into Walt Disney, because he obviously does the very famous like cartoon animations like Cinderella, Pinocchio, all that kind of thing. But I also looked into Tim Burton, who's another animator, but he was famous because he does a lot of like creepy work, which is kind of like a corpse bride kind of thing, because it's like he uses like puppets and makes his own things like that, but at the same time it's kind of, I don't know how to explain, it's just a bit odd, but it works really well in my opinion. It seems that he really shows his own style, and he didn't change for what other people want him to do, and he did really successful with that, so I was quite interested by the way that he kind of kept with his own style and didn't change for anyone and actually got up where he wanted to be. In my sketchbook, I didn't really know what to include in my sketchbook for this project, because in the last project, like the photography, obviously I would just put my pictures in and talk about them, or in the draw project I would have put my drawings in, that kind of thing. But with 3D I couldn't exactly stick my models in, so I was kind of finding hard what to put in. So at first I'd taking pictures off my blog and then I put them into my sketchbook, and then I started to talk about them so you could see what work I'd actually been doing. But then when I was at college, some of the other girls have been saying how they'd done like drawings and things to go as well with the project, and designs and things which related to the Batman side of it. So that's when I decided to do, well, I did first started doing some more small sketches of one of the characters, which was Harley Quinn, and then I actually scanned it and did it like a few times, and then I cut it out until they're all the same size, and then I did one in pencil, then I did one doing ink and like pen, and doing like the cross-hatching technique, and then I did another one in like watercolour and watercolour pencil, so I could then compare the 3 different materials and mediums to be able to see which ones I felt worked best in a cartoon style, because it's not something I would usually look at. I also had done some makeup designs for characters like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn again, but I'm also going to do some for Catwoman and people like that. And they're going to go in my sketchbook, and then I'm going to do some matching costume designs to go in it as well, so that you would actually have the costume and then the makeup. I also had done earlier in the project a photo shoot with Becca, Kate, Chloe and Precious, and we used a studio setting, and basically we picked the character. We all picked Harley Quinn because that's who the model asked us to do, and we brought in all our own makeup. So I brought in like reds and blacks and like eyeliners and all like the big dramatic colours, and then I'd actually done some research into some tutorials online, and a lot of them had done this technique with like the cross, and I've never really seen the Batman movies, so I thought that must have been what the big thing was. So I kind of tried to do a similar idea, but I changed it slightly, and I did like red and blacks in the corners, and then I did like dramatic eyeliner, and then I tried to do like a big kind of, it was kind of inspired by the Chelsea Smile, but it wasn't as, I don't know, gory, dramatic. It was just kind of a bit creepy. And then I tried to do the hair like the messy ponytails, because in all the internet Google searches or research I've done, that's what the character looked like, so I tried to copy that. We just used a white background really, we just kind of kept it simple, and I just took a load of pictures, and then I uploaded a few to my blog before I'd done any editing, and then I did a couple of edits so they're just in black and white to be able to see if it made it more dramatic or see how the eye makeup looked and stuff like that. But then I also did one where I got like a patterned background which had to do with like the cards, because that's obviously kind of her sign, and then I did that as a background, and then I edited like the eyes into red to try and make it look like more evil kind of thing. That's kind of the idea I had in my head. And then I put them onto my blog, and then I also put a few like behind the scenes pictures so you could see what was going on, but then how the editing worked and what the pictures originally looked like, so you kind of got a full idea of that photo shoot. And they were actually inspired by the makeup designs which I had done. In drawing wise, I haven't done, well, I've done drawing but not as much as I probably would like to. I've done my designs and I've done little sketches, I've done kind of bits and bobs, but I don't know, I think I would like to have had more pencil and probably more watercolour drawings put into my sketchbook, but I hadn't kind of thought of that idea till towards the end of the project, and I had a lot of work to catch up on, so I think that would be one of the things that I would change. If I was going to change anything else, I probably would have done my wire model again, because although the structure had worked really well, I felt that it didn't look as realistic as it could do, and I'm not sure if I felt that was good, because it looked a bit abstract and different and, you know, not the usual thing you'd see. But at the same time, I kind of wished it would look a bit more realistic and things like that. And I also think I could try to learn to do the model without using like a base to help me. Like I'd used a glove, and I'd filled it with rice and then sealed it, and then I'd wrapped the wire around it, and then when I was done I got the full shape and I got rid of the glove on the inside, and then I basically pulled that out, and then I made like a surface wire base and attached them together, and then I got a wooden base, and then I put them all together to make a finished model, and I think it worked really well. I mean, I'll do the technique again, and I'm not sure if it was just the way that parts of it had gone loose or fallen down, or if it was just that's the way, I don't know. But I think it worked well for what I needed, but I think I could have done better if I'd spent more time or done more practice attempts at it. I think the favourite bit of the project, again, I quite like doing the sketchbook work. I quite like doing a lot of designing and doing the photo shoot and the makeup side of things more than like the actual modelling, because, well, it's more my style, and I quite enjoy doing more fashion related things. Like I quite like trying to match the designs and the costumes together and then putting it into a real photo shoot, so it all worked together as a cycle, rather than just making like a wire model there then a mask, because that's something I was never gonna, it wasn't gonna go towards anything. I think I like to have an aim when I'm doing something, so like knowing it's gonna go towards something else. So yeah, and Yeah, that's it.